All right, ladies and gentlemen, Will's in the house tonight. Give him a hand.
Give it up for Will. Thank you very much. As always, Rudy, thank you for putting this on and having us, and this is great. Taphouse, thanks for letting us be here. And everybody who performed tonight, thank you all so much. Everyone sounds really good, and this is just really nice. So thank you, and Happy New Year. And keep it a little on the mellow side for me tonight. I recently found out that we lost an incredibly great, wonderful person on December 26th. And her name is Sister Wendy. Sister Wendy Beckett. So you all in the audience, you have phones, cell phones, internet, whatnot. If you do, please, right now, go up, look up Sister Wendy Beckett. Check it out on your phone, bookmark it, look at her on YouTube. If you've never heard of Sister Wendy, she was a Catholic nun, but she wasn't like the other ones. She's also one of the most famous public art historians that people know. The BBC did a number of series starring Wendy Beckett. Wendy Beckett's journey through painting. She talks through all of art history. With the love and kindness and respect that you would not expect from someone who comes from an institution that often censors and represses such things as art. Sister Wendy stood apart. She had such a loving and devoted way of bringing the ancient tradition of art and painting into our lives every day. Person, as a human being, she was very, very passionately devoted to spirituality, and she wasn't one of those repressive, it has to be this way, Bible thumping type of Christian. She was much, much more spiritually devoted than that. She was very much an ascetic and a bit of a hermit. For much of her spiritual life, she lived in a small trailer behind a monastery in virtual silence all the time, to connect better with the sublime. But at a very young age, she rediscovered the art and joy of painting and studied art history. Because she was able to see that art as a tradition, no matter where you're coming from or what religion, of some type of universal harmony and spirituality. Sister Wendy, a charming little smile, and such a soft, wonderful way of expressing some deep, profound truths about humanity. She taught art history names from Lascaux cave paintings from about 20,000 years ago in France, to some of the history of the Book of Kells, to the Renaissance, Titian, Impressionism, and even Andy Warhol. She knew it all. And she didn't shy away from things that were controversial. And she didn't shy away from nude or the human body, like she said. God did not make mistakes when he made us. So it's not a mistake. So I'm not going to make a mistake when I talk about God's creation. See, there's a tradition, especially in some very religious institutions, to cover up things like the nude. In fact, they actually destroyed some of the works of Michelangelo, covered up some of his nudes with fig leaves and stuff because of some repressive idea that there's something wrong with the human body. Well, if God made it, then how can it be wrong? And that was Sister Wendy's song. So she spoke with this tiny little nun with this cute face or whatever, and she was speaking quite blushing, making people blush, talking about nudes and the human body and anatomy and prostitutes and all this stuff that's really connected to art. Because she knew that it came from the heart and that there was nothing wrong. With a human connection to these things. For example, the painting Le Demoiselle d'Avignon by Pablo Picasso. It's the most formative painting of the 20th century, and it helped shape our very perception of how we look at art and the world. And not just because it launched the movement of Cubism in a way of manipulating the image on the canvas so that it looks like you're viewing it from other viewpoints, which is very important for the mind, very important for the progression of how we view art and view the world, but because there was this great ugliness about it. Picasso was one of the first painters not to bring beautiful to the ugly, but almost to bring ugly to the beautiful. And she wasn't afraid to sit there and snun in front of this big abstract painting and talk about how he painted these prostitutes in a brothel. She didn't say we can't look at this painting because it comes from prostitution. No, she appreciated it for the beauty and the power that it had. And that's something that a lot of religious folk just don't have. So many children who grew up in the 90s would have never heard of so many of these great artists and art traditions that span the course of thousands of years. If it wasn't for Sister Wendy. She happened to be in a museum one day in the late 80s, and she was talking about painting to a group in the museum, and the BBC just happened to be filming a documentary there at the time, and they heard her talking, and they were like, wow, she's really good, this is really engaging. So they ended up basically making her a household name, at the time anyways. And she became one of the most famous people on British television, and soon she became very well known in America too. But see, one of the really cool things about Sister Wendy is she had this great, deep, underlying humility. She wasn't trying to be any kind of a celebrity. As soon as she could go back to her trailer out in the woods and sit there and be alone and meditate and commune with God, she would. In fact, there's this beautiful interview that she does with Charlie Rose, where she talks about that, and Charlie Rose, she mentions, there's some talk about her being a flash in the pan, and Charlie Rose, just coming from a perspective of his, celebrity mind, and he says something like, oh, I bet, you